support.
The maestro, please!
End of the month, so it's time for another pop analysis, and this time it's not from K-pop Demon Hunters. Today we'll be looking at Love Me Not by Ravyn Lenae.
Ravyn Lenae.
Ravyn Lenae Washington, simply known as Ravyn Lenae, is an R&B and soul singer coming out of Chicago. Has been active since 2014, but this will actually be their first pop hit.
Background.
Love Me Not was originally released on May 3rd, 2024, given it would not chart until almost a year later in the middle of April 2025 at number 81. It would continue to climb, and as of the end of September, it would get all the way to number 7. The reason it took so long to chart is its popularity actually came from being used as a viral sound on TikTok. Even then, the sound that was being used wasn't actually the entire song. It was actually a mashup made by DJ That Sewed, which combined it with
Tell me the truth, boy, am I losing you for good?
It is just a simple A and B mashup, though. It takes the instrumental from Solange's Losing You and combines it with the vocals from Ravyn Lenae's Love Me Not.
And oh, it's hard to say it when I wish you were right here. Oh, it's hard to...
Despite it getting popular off of a mashup, though, a remix was made with Rex County Orange back in October 8th of 2024.
Well, it's safe to say now, you can tell I miss you the most. I step away now.
Love Me Not is actually off of Ravyn Lenae's second studio album, Bird's Eye, which was released on August 9th of 2024. Love Me Not is jointly the first single as it was released alongside.
I guess they mean it when they say love is blind.
And besides those two, there were 2 more singles from the album, those being
Break up for your reservations. You don't have to get shorter.
and
I can't spin this one wish on you.
Credits beyond Ravyn Lenae on this song include Anderson .Paak, Sarah Aarons, DJ Dahi, Best Kept Secret, Spencer Stewart, Dominic Angelella, Jalen Irizarry, and Christian Farlow. Anderson .Paak is quite the R&B and hip-hop icon, no stranger to the pop charts as well. That being said, the majority, if not all of their major songwriting and production credits are typically on songs they themselves perform. Moving on to Sarah Aarons, first talking about her way back when we did
Why don't you just meet me in the middle? I'm losing.
Since then, she continued to work with Maren Morris,
Won't you stop your crying? I know,
as well as other artists within the pop industry.
I know it's bad, but we could be so good.
Zachary Dahi Nakht, simply known as DJ Dahi, is no stranger to the hip-hop and R&B scene. He's having credits all the way back to
Like, I don't fuck with you. You little stupid ass.
but if you want something a bit more recent, well, that would be
I'm a diehard, it gets ugly. Too passionate, it gets ugly.
Julian Nixon and Craig Bell Morris make up the songwriting production duo of Best Kept Secret. They are also no stranger to the R&B and pop scene, going all the way back to
I got it, you got it, we got the magic, yeah, I got it.
But similarly, if you want something a little more recent,
Yesterday somebody whacked out my mural. That energy'll make you niggas move to Europe.
Spencer Stewart does have a couple of pop hits to their name, given all under the guise of one artist who's primarily a jazz artist.
Let me tell you about Christmas magic.
And then finally, we have Dominic Angelella, Jalen Irizarry, and Christian Farlow, all of whom were actually part of the band. Dominic Angelella is the guitarist, with Jalen Irizarry and Christian Farlow doing the backup vocals, and for all of them, this is their first pop hit. Love Me Not is released solely by Atlantic.
Form.
Love Me Not is considered a soft rock, art pop, and R&B song, is just over 3.5 minutes long, is in C major, 4/4 time, and 114 beats per minute. After the instrumental intro, we get the first verse of the song,
See right now, I need you, I'll meet you somewhere now.
which then goes into the first chorus,
And no, it's hard to say it, but I wish you were right here.
and then a post-chorus.
He loves me now, he loves me, he holds me tight, then lets me go.
We then get the second verse,
Soon as you leave me, we always lose connection. It's
and then what you could argue to be a pre-chorus, or you could simply call it an extension of the second verse.
no taking so far away.
We then get the second chorus,
Oh no, I don't need you, but I miss you, come here. And
and a slightly longer post-chorus.
He loves me not, he loves me. He holds me tight, then lets me go.
That takes us into the bridge.
You gotta say that you're sorry at the end of the night.
A third and final chorus,
Always want to leave you and I get you everywhere.
which leads us to the end of the song.
Guitar.
We hear the electric guitar early on in the beginning, kind of doing what those background vocals are doing. We'll talk about those later. Starting off on that A, jumping up to the E, and then dropping down to the E below that, which it then repeats a lot. As we get through the first verse and start transitioning to the chorus, though, we get these sort of fade-in chords that the guitar does, going between F major and C major. We then get to the chorus proper, and it's doing these sort of arpeggiated chords, which you can see as a C major over F, a C major over E, an E7 chord without the fifth, an A minor, and then a G major at the end. It does that pretty much the entire time, though there are a couple of changes every now and again, like in the middle of this phrase, we have that low D to D sharp repeating what the bass does as well. Later on, it does a different sort of arpeggiated chord, an octave higher. It's going back and forth between a C5 over A and a C major over G. Even later in the song during the bridge, it repeats that same idea of being an octave higher. Given the arpeggiation it does is a bit more spaced out and we have different chords. We still have that C5 over A and that C major over G, but we also get an E major over G sharp before going back to the A minor G major turnaround.
Bass.
It comes in right at the first verse, and it does a lot of these pitch bends, but for the most part it is simply just going back and forth between F and C. During the chorus, it sacrifices those pitch bends for a little more melodically interesting line supporting the harmonies. Starting off on that low F, works its way up to C, works its way up to E, drops its way down to A, and then goes down to G, simulating what the guitar is doing in terms of the chords. Similar to the guitar, though, there are times where it changes things up to be a bit more interesting, like this on that third bar. We have this lovely ascending figure with eighth notes on what would be that E7 chord.
Keyboard.
The keyboard has sort of an electric organ patch put on it and is our main harmonic figure playing the full chords. We have that F major over C, that repositioned C major chord, an E dominant 7 over B, before doing an A minor over C and a G major over B. The only change it ever does to that is later on during the bridge. It's doing those same chords, but now it has an arpeggiation over the top of it.
Vox.
Basically, these sort of distorted oohs that permeate the song. You can see it is kind of similar to what the guitar does at the very beginning, given it doesn't go as high. Here it just goes A, then goes up to C, and then drops down to E, where the guitar went up to the E an octave higher. The only change we ever get in that, though, is at the very end. It starts off the same, but then lowers everything, going to a G sharp, a C, and an E, as opposed to an A, C, and an E.
Verse.
You'll see that Ravyn Lenae opens up the song pretty simplistically. No crazy rhythms and the range isn't that high. The complexity, though, comes from how she's doing the various pitches. You'll notice there's lots of fall-offs and pitch bends.
See right now, I need you, I'll meet you somewhere now. You up now, I see you, I get you, take care now.
Those only get more exaggerated as the song goes on, because as she holds notes out, you can very much hear those pitch bends and still plenty of fall-offs.
Slow down, be cool, I miss you. Come here now, it's yours now. Keep it, I'll hold on until now.
The end of the first verse, though, we get a bit more complexity in terms of range and rhythms. Notice now that she hits the A on the staff before we were not even getting above the E, and at the very end you have those dotted 8th, 16th note rhythms before ending on that half note.
I need you right now. Once I leave you, I'm strung out. If I get you, I'm slowly breaking down.
In the second verse, we're still doing more of the same. We're really not getting above that E, but you'll notice the melodies are more consistent, not as much just space between them, and notice how she even goes lower. Previously, we were only going down to the A, she even goes down to that G. But we have a melisma at the end to keep things a bit more interesting.
Soon as you leave me, we always lose connection. It's getting messy, I feel your affection.
That idea then continues, but the big thing here is, again, we're getting higher in the range, but on that third bar, we get those 3-part harmonies to end off the second verse.
Don't loosen your grip, got a hold on me. Now forever, let's get back together.
Chorus.
There's a bit more going on in the chorus than compared to the verses. You'll notice that the range is a little more expanded, not terribly, only getting to that F, but we have more melismas and very little space as she does more of these constant 8th note rhythms.
And no, it's hard to see you, but I wish you were right here. Oh, it's hard to leave you when I get you everywhere.
As we continue through the chorus, we get some additional layers as well. You'll notice here there's sort of a spoken line on "We Could Never Be a Pair."
All this time I'm thinking we could never be a pair. Oh no, I don't need you, but I miss you, come here.
We take that even a step further with those background vocals, having additional 3-part harmonies at the end of each subphrase.
And oh, it's hard to see you, but I wish you were right here. Oh, it's hard to leave you when I get you everywhere.
Getting to the end of the chorus, though, we still have that main vocal line pretty much doing the same thing it's been doing throughout the chorus, but at the very end we have this sort of change in the backup vocals, first starting off sort of a 1-to-1 harmony before going into a 3-part harmony.
All this time I'm thinking I'm strong enough to sink it. Oh no, I don't need you, but I miss you, come here.
The choruses are pretty much the same throughout the song, minus the last one where we have an additional line over the top of it that comes in from the bridge before.
And oh, it's hard to see you, but I wish you were right here. Oh, it's hard to leave you when I get you everywhere.
That additional vocal line comes in through the second half of the last chorus as well, given that it's now more of a harmonic line in addition to the main vocal line, besides just doing sort of improvs over the top of it.
All this time I'm thinking I'm strong enough to sink it. Oh no, I don't need you, but I miss you, come here.
Post-chorus.
The post-chorus, both of them, really just include this one main line, this back and forth of going, he loved me not, he loves me, he holds me tight, he lets me go.
He loves me not, he loves me, he holds me tight, then lets me go. He loves me not, he loves me, he holds me tight, then lets me go.
Pre-chorus.
Like I said earlier, you could make the argument that this is just a continuation of the second verse, but it's so texturally different, we'll call it a pre-chorus. We have that main vocal line up top, really just going back and forth between E and C, but we have almost these sort of gospel-like harmonies underneath that constantly repeat themselves.
No, I take it so far away. I pray to God we don't break.
These continue through this section, even going to the end where we're doing the take me up and down and round around again.
I want you to take me up and down and round again.
Bridge.
Similarly to the other parts of the song, the range in this section isn't huge. We only go from that F on the staff, given we go down to that G below it. Regardless, it's starting on that F, but works its way slowly all the way to the A at the end.
You gotta say that you're sorry at the end of the night. Wake up in the morning, everything's alright.
That same idea is present in the second part of the bridge. We still start off on that F, given we actually ended at E at the very end, but there's a bit more space between them. You notice 3 distinct subphrases here.
At the end of the story, you're holding me tight. I don't need to worry.
I will say, after having done K-pop for the last 2 months, it is a little bit refreshing to go back to more of an American-centric genre in the form of R&B. A bit more of a traditional song using actual instruments and not just doing these great tour de forces in terms of how big your range is or how long you can sing. I'm not saying Ravyn Lenae can't do that, but after spending so much time in one genre specifically, it's refreshing. So hopefully you can spend more time with this song and R&B in general before going back to K-pop Demon Hunters.
Again. And oh, it's hard to say, but I wish you were right here. Oh, it's hard to live.
will say I'm glad Ravyn Lenae got the exposure from the Solange mashup that happened. It seems unfortunate, though, that Solange didn't get as much of a bump. I know it's just the instrumental from her song, but still.
And oh, it's hard to see you, but I wish you were right here. Oh, it's hard to leave you when I get you everywhere. All this time I'm thinking I'm strong enough to sink it. Oh no, I don't need you, but I miss you. Come here. He loves me now, he loves me. He holds me tight, then lets me go.